What up? What up? What up? It's Seed Talk, stuff to make your seeds walk. Thank you so much, Bobby Alexander, for creating that motto. Now I feel like I can't even start the show without doing this anymore. Thanks for branding that. We have a special guest today, and we're going to talk about something that's very important, and we're going to try to attempt to serve it up in a manner that is very delectable and it's appeasing to you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we try to do is strive to do here on Seed Talk. We're going to talk about self-help, and I have a guest here to talk with me about self-help. As we do in the beginning of Seed Talk, always we'll take donations for our time and whatnot, and I'll put our guest Cash App and Venmo in there if she's willing to take donations, because slavery's over. We're getting paid for our time and whatnot, and then plus the money can go towards resources to help this show be better and whatnot. So you can hit me at $ Logic Amen, Venmo at Logic Amen. But our special guest today, and I'll introduce our topic after she introduces herself and tell her where it's from, is Celinda Wilson. So tell them where you're from. I trust I said your name right.
You did.
And I probably made it a lot harder than it really is. And tell them where you're from and what you do, and then we'll just go from there. Go ahead.
All right. So Celinda Wilson, I'm a life solutionist and a certified holistic health practitioner. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I basically help people to improve their lives by helping them with wellness and other things like that.
So, okay. Yeah. So tell them exactly where you're from, Seattle. Because I like to get in. I'm very, very proud of our city. I love Seattle. I'm a transplant. I've been here over 30 years, born in Cleveland, raised in Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? Go Browns, go Cavs, go Reds, go Bengals. But tell them exactly where you went. I went to O'Day, graduated from Ingram. Tell them where you went to school at. Where you from?
Yeah. So I grew up in West Seattle, then south side of Seattle, went to Garfield High School, and here I am.
Okay. So West Seattle, that's where we, this is where the podcast, is from. That's where Seed Talk started. It started in West Seattle. So shout out to Alki, Lincoln Park, Dale Ridge, High Point. Point Side. But what we're going to talk about today is self-help in the Black community. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because I think self-help gets a bad name, and I don't think that it's practiced a lot. I think self-medication is practiced a lot in the Black community, but not so much self-help. And we're here to talk about how self-help and self-medication can share some intersection. But sometimes just because you're self-medicating doesn't mean you're self-helping yourself. I know that sounds a little bit different how I said that, but I think sometimes when we say we are self-medicating, we think that we're helping ourselves because it feels like we're helping ourselves, because there's a big difference between pleasure, peace, and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to define self-help, what would you say? How would you define self-help?
I would define self-help as an opportunity to improve your life circumstances. So whatever you're experiencing, something that you can improve upon by using certain tools or methods, words of wisdom, affirmation, all those type of things.
Mm-hmm. So, and you asked me a really good question that no one's ever asked me before in the pre-production, what I call pre-briefing. Mm-hmm. You asked me, when was the first time you were introduced to the term or the word or the practice of self-help?
Right.
And I answered the question. I said, I had to really think about it. I think indirectly I was introduced to self-help at a young age by looking at the books from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think she had I think it's called The Good Feeling book by an author by the last name of Burns, older white guy. I seen him on the cover. He's always smiling, looking like, what I'm saying? Looking like a dude from, what's the dude from Won't You Be Mine? Won't You Be My Neighbors? Looking like, what's his name, man?
I'm bad with movies, so I don't know.
Me, my neighbor. Hello, everybody. Anyways, I can't even think right now. But so I just remember seeing that book.
Mhm.
And so, and then my mom just, struggling, with depression, that was, her trauma as being a black person.
Mhm.
Um, and then when I got older, when I was like a freshman in college, um, I started to wanted to explore books outside of like the pro-black books
Mhm.
and the revolutionary books, like of learning what it is. And I was like, man, what's this book about? And then just figuring out that these books were like self-help books, like books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by
Mhm.
Dale Carnegie. And I was just like, man, that's a self-help book. And then I went back and, looked at some books that I had inherited from my, saying my mom, like, man, there's a whole bunch of self-help books around here.
Mhm.
So I would say subconsciously and indirectly, it was as young as like 7 or 8, but
Mhm.
consciously I was probably like 19 or 20. And so when was the first time for you that you were like really like, introduced to the term and practice of self-help?
Yeah. So later in my life, so about 1996, I think I was 18. I came across a young man who was into pro-black books and introduced me to Ayanna Van Zandt. Actually, we went to the library together, and there's just this big sign that says self-help, and I was like, what the heck is this? So I started looking through, and I was like, oh, this is right up my alley. This is what I need. So I came across the first one, The Value in the Valley by Ayanna Van Zandt, and I felt like she was like reading my personal story. And I thought, this is amazing. If these are what these books are like, I'm into it. So I definitely have read all of her books, and then I started from there. I just have always been a personal development type person, always wanting to improve upon my circumstances.
So, I saw it. Great segue. Great. That was great because my mom had a whole bunch of her books too. And
Mm.
I was like looking around like, who is this author, this black woman, and I can't pronounce her name.
Mhm.
And I remember um growing up, um just doing some research on her and then
Mhm.
finding out that she's a Yoruba priestess, that she
Mhm.
studies Yoruba. And I'm like, then I had to figure out what Yoruba was.
Mhm.
And I remember she had this big, well, it wasn't a big back and forth, but it was kind of a big back and forth. It was on one of those shows. I want to say Sally Jesse Raphael was the show, or maybe Donahue, but I think it was Sally Jesse Raphael.
Uh-huh.
The point I'm trying to make is that Shahrazad Ali was on the show,
Okay.
and she wrote a book called something like How to Love the Black Woman or something like that. But anyways, in the book, she had talking about beat black women lightly. But she was, I think she was in the Nation of Islam or something that. And I remember Ilana Van Zant in the crowd, and it seemed like she was a little bit of a plant because the
Mhm.
mic went to her, and then they was kind of going back and forth, and then throughout the years they had this ongoing dialogue between the two, because they just had different perspectives on how to heal the black
Yeah.
community, and I think both their perspectives were you had to just take the best part out of it. And I always thought that she was more of the Christian variety. But can you talk about more about her and say her name right? Because I know I said her name wrong. And can you tell me what attracted you to her?
So it's Ayanala, as far as I know, Ayanna Van Zandt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what I can remember because I haven't read her books in so long, but um, a Black author. I'm not a good historian in that way. So if you want more information, you're probably going to have to Google it to get it,
Yeah.
precise. But what drew me to her again was just that first book and how easy it was to read it and absorb it. It just seemed so like it matched my whole thing, and just that's what that's what drew me to her. Um, Also, maybe the artwork on the cover or something like that. But yeah, just reading those first few pages, I was just like, wow, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was,
she did have good artwork on the covers of her books.
mm-hmm,
That was definitely psychological. That was good because I
yeah,
do remember that. I just remember like orange colors or something like
mm-hmm,
that. I just
yep,
remember something that kind of that popped,
yep.
to me and whatnot. And I remember she had that show. She had that show for a little bit.
She
You know,
did. I
she had
didn't
a
really
reality.
watch it though. I didn't really watch it though, but
I
I
did.
remember.
Yeah, I watched the episode with Terrell Owens,
Okay.
and he was on there, and she, I think it was called her name,
Mm-hmm.
Fix My Life. I think
Yeah.
it was called Fix
Some.
My Life. And I just remember because she's not a bad looking woman for her, she's an
Okay.
older woman. She's a good looking woman.
Yeah.
And I just remember her trying to help Terrell Owens with his like issues and
Yeah.
sitting down with him. He's going through it. And she was like touching her brother a little bit too much. And I think that I was like, you better stop touching that man's knee too much because y'all about to have a different session.
Uh-oh, right? Oh my gosh.
I know.
No.
No, but just as a family preservation therapist and no, as an educator, in all seriousness, I just remember her words were good and that I couldn't, that's where my mind goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I couldn't get off the fact that you can touch the brother without literally physically touching him. Like I
Right.
think we're already doing a good job. I think that might be a little bit too much stimulus for him. But that's my way of throwing a little flirt at her. But so why is it that you think that so many members of the Black community are resistant to authors like Burns or Van Zant or other people who have self-help books or
I'd say,
self-help content? Why do you think we're so resistant to it?
yeah. Well, I would say that they'd be more resistant to self-help authors that don't look like us, right? Um, and then two, I think sometimes they get self-help mixed up with self-care a little bit, and it's something that seems like a selfish thing. Black community is supposed to be, I guess, about helping one another, helping each other, right? And when you talk about self-help, it's like you're not you're not facing your problem head on. You're reaching out to something else to try to grab, I guess, things to help you. I guess I don't know. Sorry. And then the other reason is people may not have grown up knowing about self help. I mean, obviously, we didn't know until a little bit later, right? Later in our lives, and it just seems like something foreign, right? So self help. That's probably it. Just seems like it's not real, and it's a lot easier to do other things.
Right, right. And we're going to get into that, like,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between and the differences and commonalities between self-help and self-medication. To add on to what you just now said and how I see it is, I think that the church and the mosque, not so much the synagogue, but I think like the church and the mosque, like the Abrahamic religions have such a monopoly on self-help. It's
Mm-hmm.
like instead of reading a book, on self-help by a person that doesn't look like us, we'd rather go to church and pray to a Jesus
Mm-hmm.
on the wall that doesn't look like us.
Yeah.
Or we'd rather go to the mosque and, pray 5 times a day to Allah that has no image.
Yeah.
And we use these different institutions to substitute for self-help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you mentioned that you're fasting. It's something I also do too. I do it under the auspice of Ramadan, even though I
Yeah.
don't consider myself a a uh, a traditional or Muslim, a Sunni
Mm-hmm.
Muslim. I am a person of peace, and it took me years to start fasting just because it was helping myself,
Mm-hmm.
rather than this is my allegiance or my association with the religion of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Along with so many other things. It took me years to say praying can be meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Praying can be me doing what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Praying could be bearing witness to the highest part and the best part of myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But prior to that, praying was just to this mythical, being in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Even though the earth, floats in the sky, I was still, it's got to be somewhere out there in the sky. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I think that we use religion as a substitute or, alternate, way to practice self-help.
I'd agree with that. Definitely. I wasn't even really thinking about that, but definitely growing up, that's something that was in my family is you pray to God, you get down on your knees and you pray, and you know that's how it goes. So yeah, I agree exactly with what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's like I also started to understand, like, when people in the mosque or people in the church or anything that all these different organizations even when I was working with Black nationalists or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, you could tell that there was a serious void when it came to self-help outside of that particular doctrine or dogma.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, if you took away that doctrine and that dogma or that religious background as a crutch, they didn't know how to treat themselves or other people.
Exactly.
And I
I
thought,
agree.
and I was like, that's when I was like, man, this has got to change. Something's got to give. I need to have something that wherever I take myself,
Mm-hmm.
I know how to help myself and therefore help others.
Mm-hmm.
But so much, especially in the Black community, help only came if I was a Christian.
Hmm.
Help only came if I was a member of the Nation of Islam.
Hmm.
Help only came if I was a Sunni Muslim and I spoke a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think that what the self-help books taught me is that wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're a good person in a church, and you need to be that same person in the mosque and in a Buddhist temple or a synagogue, or you know what I'm saying, or even in a cipher, building with brothers and sisters of the like mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, definitely. People are not really taught to depend on themselves, but to depend on God or whichever God they, associate with. So definitely.
Yeah, I want to get into that whole topic of like self-help and how that intersects with God. But I
Mm-hmm.
want you to, can you start the conversation about what is the difference and commonality between self-help and self-medication? Because a lot of times, let me give you a perfect example to platform and springboard your conversation. I got a lot of brothers and sisters who are my friends. And if I say a lot, it's more than two. All right.
Okay.
And I live in Seattle. There's the legalization of weed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my brothers and sisters, I'm sorry, they use cannabis, not weed. Sorry. I can get canceled for that nowadays. I've just now found out you
Oh.
can't even call it marijuana anymore. That's derogatory.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like I care. I'm just like I care. Y'all smoke weed. Anyways, I got a lot of my brothers and sisters who indulge in the cannabis, and they say when I ask them why they're using it, they market and they brand it like it's self-help. Helps me with my pain, helps me with my anxiety, helps
Mm-hmm.
me with this, that, and the third. And I'm like, you can't possibly have that much anxiety. And I've noticed that when you smoke weed, you're a little bit more paranoid than usual.
That can happen. Yeah,
When you
definitely.
don't get your weed, you're like really like anxious and you're really like mean. So it's like, how is that helping you? So, anyways, I would be like, that's self-medication. I wouldn't necessarily call that self-help,
Yeah.
you know. Um, what do you think the pros and cons of self-medication are, and what intersection do you think it shares with self-help?
Okay. Well, so just to springboard off of what you're talking about in terms of cannabis, for example, you know, cannabis has medicinal properties to it, but if you are not aware of how it actually works with your particular body, how it affects you, then you can be doing yourself more of a disservice, right? Um, Self medicating is easier for people to access. It's a reliever for many people. You know, people feel invincible, they forget about their troubles and their problems. And so that's why I can see that, people will gravitate towards that a lot quicker, and it's more acceptable, right? You can have fun with your friends when you're drinking or whatever else. But again, it has its downsides, which it doesn't really solve the problem. So you're not really getting to the root cause, and you're damaging your health in many cases. And then self-help, on the other hand, it's a process and a journey. And a lot of people, I think, they don't know what to expect in terms of the outcome, or they don't know or don't want to really take the time to figure out something. It's not as easy as putting a Band-Aid on or as grabbing a beer, right? You don't want to have to go through all this stuff and then not even know how to use those tools or whether or not it's going to work for you. So it just seems like, it's a waste of time. Why not just grab a beer and be on your way? Both of those things can be beneficial, but not really. Like I said, drinking alcohol or using other substances that are going to damage your body obviously is not good for you. So you should probably find something else, like a self-help book, or reach out to a counselor or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's really tough. I think it's tough. And I think a lot of times the reason why people shy away from the self-help framework is because they have a hard time defining it. Like I see people who like work out a lot,
Mm-hmm.
because I go to gym a lot and I see a lot of people. I feel like it is a self-help, what I'm saying, coping mechanism. It helps you. But then I
Okay.
feel like if you're spending more time at the gym and not spending enough time like in other aspects in your life, it something's got to give. You
Yeah.
know?
I think too, though, like for people at the gym, for example, and they may be more focused on just wellness. Like, I've got to be fit, I've got to do this to be healthy. But there is a such thing as overdoing it, and they may not be really looking at it as self-help, but in essence it is, because nutrition and all that stuff, it's all related to wellness in a sense. And yeah, but I'm thinking that people that go to the gym are not really thinking, oh yeah, I'm self-helping myself. No, they're probably just thinking like, oh, I'm being healthy, this is wellness, because this is part of self-care. And a lot of people kind of shy away from that because it seems, again, like selfish, or you know they use it, they look at it as something that's lucrative. A lot of people use the term self-care as something that's you have a lot of time, you have a lot of money to do it, you're going out and pampering yourself, you're getting your hair and your nails done and all that kind of thing like that. But it's not necessarily that. It's giving yourself water, getting enough sleep, it's nutrition, it's all those things. So I kind of like use self-care and wellness together, and then self-help is a part of that too.
I think a lot of what we call self-help, I think another reason why a lot of us shy away from it, because it seems like a position or a point of privilege. Like,
That's what I'm
to
saying.
do self-help, like, we feel like you got to have a certain access that not everybody has, not all um, traumatized people have,
Mm-hmm.
and has a history like with Black folks. And I think that I would encourage people I think self-help, if it's done in a particular way, helps you slow down so you can use priority as a privilege. And so when you start prioritizing your life, then you can understand the privileges that come from it, because it's like I hear a lot from like Black folks, and this is a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna read no book. If I read that book, it's not gonna put no food on my table.
Mm-hmm.
Reading a book is not gonna pay my rent.
Mm-hmm.
And even reading a book, let's just keep it a buck, it's not even gonna help my relationship with other people unless I implement what it's saying do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I remember one thing you said prior to this conversation, and it means a lot, and I want you to speak on it more, is that self-help is not the microwave results that we're used to. We're used to instant gratification. And a
Yeah.
lot of times self-help is intimidating because the gratification isn't instant. Can you talk about that? Especially with the work that you do?
Yeah. I mean, so like I said, I mean, even for people who just go to the doctor, right? They go to the doctor and expect to get healed right away, right? They just want instant. Everybody wants instant results to whatever it is that they're experiencing because they don't want to have to go through a process. Nobody wants to have to experience any type of challenge as they go through it. And again, just not knowing exactly what to expect in terms of the outcome. Why go through this arduous, long process, or however they may be thinking about it? Why go through this when I can just literally come over here and, you know, drink some alcohol a little bit every day? We're going to die anyway, so why not? You know, that kind of mentality. And I mean, that's just the way it is. And I don't know, I really don't know much more to say about it, but a lot of people want quick fix. That's why there's so many, you know, you look at all these commercials, they help you with that. You know, they feed you that, oh yeah, you want this, we're going to fix you with this pill right away, we're going to help you with this pill right away, and then disregarding all the negative side effects to it. For example, right, you might lose your kidney, or your liver might fail, or this and that, but people will still
That's not good.
you know, I mean, you know, I was looking at some commercial, I can't think of exactly, I don't know if it's like in Peckett or something, I don't know, but it's like, yeah, we'll help you with your what is it, I don't know if it was like gout or something. It's something, we'll help you with this, but you may have perforated bowel and all this kind of stuff listed. I'm like, so I'm supposed to take this, not for me, but you know, they're supposed to take this pill to help with one issue, but then you have a slew of issues that can follow. That's so sad. That's so bad.
And we talk about that. That's that medication part. That's that self-medication, that
Yeah.
like that quick fix. Like you said, like a lot of the medications that the Western world pushes are quick fixes rather than, you know what I'm saying, strategies that prevent you from even getting in that situation. Because if someone told me they have gout, and I'm like, man, you eating too much red meat, you know, probably eating too much fish. That's what they call king's disease, because it comes to an excess of food that only the king could have because they were eating good, you know, a lot of alcohol, you know what I'm saying? But I've noticed like a lot of people who do like the self-help stuff, they're doing it to look better to other people. Like, I wonder how many people are in the gym to not only help themselves, but they do it to help other people. And I think that's one of the indicators that you're on the right track, is that in the process of you helping yourself, that what you're learning and what you're doing to yourself is actually helping other people also. A little kid said something to me. He said, there's a difference between being strong and stronger. He said, when I help myself, I'm strong. When I help other people, I'm stronger. I thought that was powerful.
Nice.
For a young person to say.
Absolutely.
Now, how does this self-help philosophy that you have, like, go into your relationship with God or spirituality, or what is do you have a religious background? Are you spiritual, or are you an atheist? Or you want to talk a little bit about that, about self-help when it comes to your relationship with the Most High, or your relationship with God, or relationship with none of the above?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I would consider myself a spiritual person. And so, in terms of self help, it allows me, even without that, I just think having a stronger connection with the universe or higher power, because, you know, that's just how I'm going to term it. But yeah, I mean, it helps me to build that relationship. It helps me to have better gratitude. And I don't know, it allows me to be a better person just all around, because I'm always about trying to help others elevate and be happy. And, you know, those are things that are important to me. And I know what those things feel like. So I want other people to feel the same way too. So yeah, I use it to improve myself, because if I can't improve anybody else, at least I can handle myself. Just, yeah, you really can't control anyone else. You can't control what other people do. But if you are a role model, or you just do what you do simply, people just, maybe they catch on or they don't. They start asking questions, and you just go from there. But that's, yeah.
How do you know when you're actually helping yourself and you're not just medicating yourself, like, you know, putting a Band-Aid over something, or substituting like actual peace and happiness for like pleasure? Like, how do you know you're actually helping yourself?
You see progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see progress. You see change. You feel different. You start thinking differently. So those are the ways that I notice. For example, if I am having, I'm entering something new and I'm a little bit nervous about it or something like that, I may say affirmative things to myself to encourage myself on a regular basis until I'm assured, or I may use reflection, things like that. That's a way of helping myself. And then getting myself through it, I see the change. I'm like, oh, okay, this really wasn't so bad. Or, you know, talking down the negative self-talk or something like that. You start to see improvements and change along your journey. So that's the way that I can explain it for myself.
Mm-hmm. If someone, if someone said to you, "Help me help you," and we're going to get into what you do as your practice, you know what I'm saying? If I gave you that term of "help me help you," what are some things that come to mind when you
Yeah.
that?
So if I, if I were using that term, "help me help you," basically, all I would be asking is for someone to feel comfortable, feel like they're in a safe space with me, to go ahead and share with me what it is that they're experiencing or they feel they're experiencing, so that I can give them thought-provoking questions, or just help them to identify what the issues are and help them to implement a plan or get a plan together. But that's help me help you, being open, being, I hate to use the word vulnerable, because it really takes a lot to be to expose yourself to someone you don't know, or to expose anything. But people use the word vulnerability, so I would say, being vulnerable and just expressing and being open.
Yeah. When I hear the word, I think one of the biggest things for me when it comes to self-help is allowing other people to help me.
And yeah.
I think, and that goes into that V word that you said, the vulnerability. I think a lot of times we mistake the word vulnerable meaning weak, and being vulnerable isn't weak. And I think sometimes what it is for me is that I have a hard time allowing other people to help me, is because that gives them too much power not to help me. And so I fear that I might be dependent on that, and that I might be waiting on someone to help me when I could have been, feeding myself the whole time. So I think that's one of the reasons why people stay attached to religions and institutions that promote and support and sustain those certain religious dogmas, is because it kind of does the work for them. They can always lean on that. If I want to figure out what I need to get right, then I know there's service on Sunday. There's 3 different times I can go. No matter what I was doing on Saturday or Friday, always a black cat walking behind me. But anyway, listen. No, but anyways, I know I can show up on Sunday and then someone can get me right.
Yeah.
I think that for me, who doesn't rely on a certain religious institution, that's one of the fallbacks, for that. It's like, that's why I admire people who go to the mosque and go to the church and go to the synagogue or the Buddhist temple or whatever, and they do it right, because it's a constant reminder of how everyone can help each other. Like it's a reminder of help me help you, and I need that constant reminder. So when we talk about providing people with those constant reminders of how they can be helped and how you can help them, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in your profession?
Yeah. So I use a couple methods in what I do. So I consider myself, like I said, a life solutionist. That's just a person that solves life problems based on my knowledge, skills, experience, right? And I use methods such as clarity coaching, and that's basically helping people identify what their goals are in life and helping them to develop a plan to reach the goals. I also use life coaching, and that's helping people to identify what their purpose is, right? A lot of people, I get 27-year-olds like a lot, that they reach a certain point in their life where they just don't know where, what they want to do, or they feel a little lost. And so life coaching is a way to do that, helping them figure out what that is, and helping them to develop a plan to reach whatever it is that they're wanting to reach. And I also do things like nutritional counseling to help people who want to either lose weight or they want to just eat better in general and things like that. And in essence, that's pretty much what I do. I'm also expanding, though, like literally right now. So going from Celinda Wilson Life Solutionist to the Holistic Health and Wellness Collective for Business and Community, because I think, holistic is not just about mind, body, and soul, or mind, body, and spirit. It's also about your environment. And I deeply believe in having an environment that is positive. So that includes your work environment, that includes your living environment, and so on and so forth. So just showing these different areas how to improve upon their wellness and what that really is and what that looks like. That's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I was ask you a question. What if someone like me comes to you? And, I try to use humor and stuff, but this is a serious question. What if like someone like me comes to you and I have a whack ass goal? Like my goal is just whack. Like, or it's just unrealistic. What if I kind of even like, yeah, man, I'm just really trying to play in the NBA. Like yesterday. Like, what if I come to you with a list of goals and he's like, oh, maybe we can do a plan B. And I'm like, okay, well, I kind of, I want to be a pilot, in the Air Force, and I don't have 20/20 vision. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what do you do when someone comes to you and their goals are like unrealistic or sometimes just unhealthy? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. So again, it's all about asking thought-provoking questions and using a model such like SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals. So helping them set it up in that manner and giving them an idea of what that really looks like. And again, I want people to think for themselves, because I can give advice, but if I don't give unsolicited advice, so yeah, just kind of give them a better sense of how to create realistic goals. Definitely can show them that. I'm never gonna be like, oh, you can't be a basketball player. You're 45 years old. No, I'm not gonna do anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a parent or not. I don't know the background and stuff like that. But a reason why I asked that question, because you become very, very skilled at dealing with unrealistic and just quite frankly, sometimes just some whack goals. Like if you go from everything your child when they're little talking about, hey man, I want to be a construction worker. Like want to be a construction worker, that's fine. No, I actually just want to be a dump truck. Like, son, you can't be a dump truck. Why not? Okay. All right. Well, we're just going to, so and as you get older as an educator, in all seriousness, you come across students as an educator, because I'm a principal and a teacher. You come across students and sometimes adults and teachers that they have aspirations and goals that just isn't in their wheelhouse. Like you don't even have the skill set to do what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And so before we went live today, we had a conversation. I told you I was at an AVID conference, AVID. That stands for the Advancement via Individual Determination. That has a lot to do with self-help. And what it is, it's a company or a program that pretty much brands, like how to like take notes, how to talk to people, just how to advance yourself, particularly, in the school system, to be successful post-secondary. It's all brands, to go to college. It's all a conveyor belt, to put you in a different kind of debt always. And of course, the AVID program costs schools a lot of money, so they're in it to make money. The point I'm trying to make is it's good. It is a good program. What makes AVID really good is that they take all these different strategies and they put it in one big toolbox and make it really accessible. And I'm sitting there thinking, as a Black man who grew up struggling as one of the few Black men in particular to make it to the ranks of administrations. Like, what if we had access to this? What if the entire and so many of us have dogs barking in the background, but so many of us have access to this. So my question to you is, how do you make your services accessible to the most marginalized and the people who need it the most?
Exactly. So that's something I'm literally working on right now. So that's why I'm expanding from, just Celinda Wilson Life Solution, is because I realize a lot of people may not have, the financial resources, or they may have other things that are hindering them from being able to access the resources that I'm providing. So if I do an outreach to community, that's going to be a lot better. So I'm looking to partnership with a few different groups that provide more of a outreach to, example, the BIPOC community, right? We want to help as much of our people as possible. But I'm open to anyone who would like to improve their mental well-being and their wellness in life, because we're all living together, right? And so I'm working on that part of how I'm going to do that. But, workshops, things like that, online courses, and just, going out and maybe adding some type of ministry to show people how they can do different things. I'm also doing some peer support, which is a little bit different than what I do. I'm not really guiding anyone, but I'm being that extra person to someone can bounce their ideas off of. And in that instance, I'm not going to say, oh, you shouldn't do that, but it's more of, okay, I support your goals. So it's a little bit different. And then eventually I'll be training people to do that. But that's what I would like, because I think it's important to make sure everyone is included, and hopefully that just works out well.
Yeah, I think that's dope. I'd definitely be interested in supporting you with that, especially getting you into the schools, to help some of our most marginalized groups and tribes of students in our schools. So let's continue to talk about that. Are you in the schools right now?
I'm not right now. No, not right now.
What do you think your biggest clientele is right now in the Pacific Northwest? I mean, like, what does your clientele usually look like?
My clientele usually looks like business professionals or individuals, right? But what my focus will be on, definitely healthcare and education are two on the top of my list, especially in terms of their workplace culture and things like that. We need a lot of help in those areas to help improve the wellness and things for people. And then
Go ahead. Listen. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then again, just community, wherever I can reach out in community. I'm getting a lot of information on places that I can, people I can connect with, a lot of nonprofit organizations and things like that. So I'm piecing it together, but it's going to take me maybe another couple of weeks just to get it, because I literally just changed my website and changed the name and getting that up and going.
Yeah, I definitely want to help you with that. And the reason why I ask, because I can see you doing a podcast, a weekly podcast, or doing something, what I'm saying, where you actually become like a facilitator with a network where you can actually quarterback and, like, what I'm saying, if you don't have what people need, you can send people to like a Black therapist or something like that. Or you can send people to a life coach. Because one of the biggest things as me, who, I support and I trust in therapy, been in it many times, a couple times, not just with my, former marriage and stuff, but also as a family preservation therapist. And as an educator, that's one of the many hats that I wear unofficially as a therapist. It's so hard to find people that look like me and not only look like me, have a shared life experience.
Exactly.
So it's like, it'd be good to have a person like you that, we can send people to, and then you can like send people out. If you don't have the services, you can be like, well, we got, Malik, what I'm saying, over here in Better Way, he has a private thing, or, what I'm saying, we got Fundisha over here and she's doing her thing.
Exactly.
So exactly. But one of the things that, and so we can wrap up, because I want to, get into the plan of action, and I actually added another resolution to our show, which is what's the homework, if you have any. One of the frustrations that I have, and I want to ask you, what do you do when you come to this hurdle, is that you provide access to a particular marginalized group of people, because not all Black people need the same services. We're not a monolith, so there are some Black people who have access to more resources and privileges than the other. So when you triage things and you start looking at the most disadvantaged and marginalized community, let's just say someone like a Black woman who is a part of the LGBTQIA community who is disabled, or if you gear things towards Black boys in the school district who are predominantly, the recipients of exclusionary discipline, or AKA what we call punitive, consequences or suspensions. Provide the access, but then the students and the families and the people of that group don't come. What do you do when you provide the service and the resources, but the people that it's meant for don't come?
I mean, I think it just takes being consistent, finding out what is it that is preventing them from wanting to come. What would they like to see? What is it? What do they need? I just need to know what exactly do you need? Would you prefer, workshops? Is it not workshops for you? Or, I mean, it's about finding out what the need is. That's in my opinion. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because in the
Go ahead.
I was going to say, because just in clarity coaching, people they reach out to me through my website or whatever and things like that. But, it's like through all advertising and all this kind of stuff, it doesn't really necessarily make people go, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and do clarity coaching with Celinda. No. So there's got to be some other element. So finding out what do people need? What is it that you're looking for? What is it? Is it costs, or what is it? What do you think?
I don't know what it is. It might be me as an English lit major, or it might be me as a poet. You know what I'm saying? But the clarity, the alliteration and clarity coaching just caught my ear. That sounds super dope. Can you explain to the public what clarity? I'm gonna start using that once I figure out what it means according to you and your definition, because you the one that inspired me. What is clarity coaching? That sounds fly.
Yeah. So clarity coaching, again, is helping you to identify what your goals are. It's really simple. Helping you to identify that. And how I go about doing that is, again, asking you thought-provoking questions, and allowing you to identify that for yourself, because it'll stick better, right? And that's it. Then I help you to develop a plan to reach those goals. So we'll use SMART goals. We'll use whatever tools I share with you, ways to reach those goals. And that's it. It's simple.
Let's go over that, because you keep mentioning SMART goals, and that's something that we use in education a lot. Break that down to what is a SMART goal, because each letter, it's an acronym, right?
Yeah.
So you tell the public what SMART means. I think it really helps. If you started off with a goal, but you sent it through this filter, it would help you. What does each letter in the word SMART mean?
Yeah. So S stands for specific. So it has to be a specific goal. Like, I want to be a marathon runner. Okay. And usually there's a time associated with it. So it has to be measurable. Okay. You want to be a runner within what amount of time? Okay. I want to be a runner within 6 months. Is this something that's attainable or achievable? Is this something that you can accomplish within 6 months? Are you, have you been practicing and things like that? It's either relevant or realistic. Is this something that you really feel that you can achieve, right? And then timely. Again, you have the measurement piece. When do you want to have this done by? And then sometimes people need to revisit their SMART goals, but oftentimes not. It's just a matter of taking action, because if you don't take action on the SMART goals, then nothing's going to happen either.
Yeah, I send mine through, like, I like to use the example of like Ichiro. I like sports metaphors. You remember
Okay.
Ichiro?
I
Ichiro
remember
used
that. Oh yeah.
to play for the Mariners,
Yeah.
and he was like his on base percentage, meaning he got on base. He was a phenomenal baseball player, pardon
Hmm.
himself, and he played very long into his career. And he was very admirable because he came from being a professional in a different country in Japan, and then came here and was successful here. He's one of our most accomplished Seattle Mariners, and but I used the example with teachers. Like he had this technique where it's called bunting, where you don't swing all the way. You just put the bat out there and you just drop the ball like
Okay.
down the
Hmm.
baseline out. It's just to get on base, just to advance, just to get on
Yeah.
base. It's good
Yeah.
technique. Not looking for a home run. You're just trying to get on base.
Yeah.
Well, he had this technique when he bunted,
Mhm.
like he would already be running to first base, like drag bunting. So he'd hit
Ah.
and he'd already be running.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is people try to drag bunt instead of just putting the bat out there. Like a lot of times when you can't hit the ball because it's going so fast or
Hmm.
it's got so much movement on it, you just put
Yeah.
the bat out there just,
Yeah.
just to hit it.
Yeah.
That's what people need to do when it
Yeah.
comes to their goals. Just put it out there instead of like trying to be all advanced and
Right.
start running towards your goals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Steps.
Trying to be Ichiro. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're not him. Stop trying to do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that yet. You're trying to shoot a 30-foot jump shot, like, you know what I'm saying, like Steph Curry, and you can't even make a layup.
Yeah.
So that's why the SMART goals help you.
Hmm.
There's another technique that I wanted to add on to what you, because I try to make this a dialogue more than
Yeah.
just an interview. So I wanted to add a little bit to this, and it's metacognition. And it's thinking about your thinking. And
Hmm.
I explain this, this exercise to my students like this. Like, why did you do that? Well, I did that. What like, for instance, why did you skip class?
Hmm.
I skipped class because I didn't want to go to math. Why didn't you want to go to math? Well, I didn't want to go to math because it's hard. Why is math hard? Well, to be honest with you, math is hard because I don't know how to do it. Why
Hmm.
don't you know how to do it? Well, I don't know how to do it because I didn't show up to class to,
Hmm.
get all the tutoring I need.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you? Then they come to the realization, thinking about your thinking, and they be
Mhm.
like, I just need to go to class. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like that's how you get to your goals. Keep asking. You do that with your fears too.
Mhm.
Like, why do I fear that this person's not going to text me? Because then
Right.
I feel rejected. And what's going to happen if you don't feel rejected? Then I'm just going to feel like they don't want me. What's going to happen if they don't want you? Then someone else will probably text me. Boom.
Mm.
Like just go through the whole, like, if you do that with your fears, you'll start to understand, like, you are really paranoid, Logic. Like, nothing to really fear.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But if it is real to you, then it's real. And then you got to, like, you gotta, smart your way out of it with your goals. You gotta, do your metacognition thing, to get
Hmm.
out of it and whatnot. But
Yep.
that's why self-help. These are all self-help
Absolutely.
tools and strategies. And I like to call them coping mechanisms to
Yeah.
deal with our trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As oppressed Black people with this unique experience. And I feel
Hmm.
like if we had opportunities to have this conversation, this is why we got to help you get your own podcast if you don't already have it. I'm
I
serious.
don't yet.
No, because of course I get on dang podcasts. I should already have my notes, but I listen to a selection of Black therapists
Hmm.
that are that I've subscribed to, and I think one of those sisters' name is Marks. I think that's her last name. She's on YouTube, but she's dope, and she has all these different episodes talking about ODD, talking about
Hmm.
ADHD,
Hmm.
talking about narcissism, and
Hmm.
she really dispels a lot of myths, but she also like educates you. And I think that what education does is makes you more prepared. And the more prepared, the less scared you are. And the
Hmm.
less scared you are, the more you're able to be, the best you can be.
Yeah.
Because fears, like, really, they talk about that amygdala part of the brain
Yeah.
where You know, since like they call it the reptilian part of your brain, but
Yeah.
it's the it's the it's the fight, flight, or
Yep.
freeze part of you. And when
Yep.
you're operating from that part of your brain, it's just like it's not the math in 2023 when you're supposed to be a civilized, upright, walking human being.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, that goes along with, so you talked about the amygdala, but also our subconscious, right? The subconscious records everything, all of our prior experiences, everything up until this point right now. So sometimes a lot of things that we've experienced in our past, we still carry along with us, and we don't realize that when our conscious mind does this translation and says, "Oh my gosh, you should be scared," it comes up again over and over again. But that's why I talk about doing things like introspection and asking questions like the metacognition type of style, because it will help you to uncover what the root cause is and help you to do things better. And then something else I like to share is that the steps to success usually is having a goal and knowing that that's the goal that you want to meet, right? And when you really feel that, then figuring out what steps you need to take. And those steps do not need to be large steps. For example, if somebody wanted to buy a $1 million house or something like that, they could even take smaller steps, like just start looking for houses and then start getting brochures and then start go looking in neighborhoods. I mean, even those small steps are going to help you to start manifesting it into your life because you're taking steps to get there. So
Yeah, you talk about window shopping.
I'm saying, I mean, it helps though. It does.
It does. It does.
And as long as you're taking action, again, nothing happens without action, because it could be an idea all day long. It could be a goal all day long, but if you're not doing anything, then
Yeah. I think that I mean, like, I think that with the work that you do to provide the access and then get people to take advantage and benefit from the access, it's like you have to trick people. You have to be you. No, I'm serious. You have to. What's the word? You have to be like responsibly like deceptive. Like, let me give you an example. Like, it's like all about the branding. It's all about the packaging too. Like, you can have the best shea butter in the world, but if someone else got like a jar full of Jergens with a way better like sticker on it, it's gonna sell more than that. You know what I'm saying? That plastic bucket of like yellow shea butter that you got straight from Ghana.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you.
I agree. I agree.
People with like some whack diluted, you know what I'm saying, shea butter that's not even yellow. Shea butter is yellow. I've been there. I've seen it. I've got it from the buckets in Ghana.
Yeah. I know.
But the packaging is not going to be glamorous, but it's definitely better for you. The shea butter you buy in Accra, Ghana, you can cook with it, you can eat it, you can put it on your hair, your face, your body, everything.
Real stuff.
Yeah, you could probably lubricate the parts on your bike.
Probably.
But I did the same thing with like the Griot Party Experience, which is spoken word storytelling theater. Shameless plug, of course. But the whole thing is this motto: it's feel, heal, build, and grow. But especially I did it for the Black men because Veronica Very did Wonder of Women, and she invited me to come out, and I was the only male storyteller. So her primary focus was the women. And so I was on the stage with I think 8 other Black women, and I was like really intimidated. You know what I'm saying? In an appropriate way, I was intimidated. But I was like, I gotta bring this to Black men, but like, how do you bring vulnerability to Black men without them feeling weak, or you know what I'm saying, assigning that feeling or that position to a part on the female's body or the woman's body, if you know what I mean, you know what I'm saying? Or associating it with being gay, you know what I'm saying, or homosexual or whatnot. And so I was like, man, everybody loves a party, so I'm gonna call it the Griot Party. You know and griot is not even the original word, but I know if I use the word jolly, which is the original word, griot is just a French word, people be like, jolly, what's that? You know, I can't get it right. They have a hard enough time saying griot. People say griot, you know what I'm saying? Like in French, the T is silent, it's griot. but griot is a storyteller, and it says
Mhm.
the griot party, and it's an experience. But I wanted to make it a combination of all our, our genres, from hip hop to
Mhm.
R&B to gospel.
Mhm.
I use a lot of the chord structure of gospel music, but I also included dance, like tap dancing. I also included
Nice.
drumming. I also included the DJs, a lot of hip hop in it. The
Okay.
point, of course, I had, house parties. Everybody loves a house party.
Right. Right.
And then you gotta, then there's the alcohol, and then then there's the the theater, and then there's the
Yeah.
rooftop. My whole point is it became a healing experience without people even knowing it. And as soon as people got the point that they was healing, it's like, I don't know, man. And not because necessarily they didn't want to do it,
Mhm.
because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to heal.
Mhm.
It's hard to heal. Some people have normalized hurting so much that they'd rather hurt than heal.
Mhm.
It feels more comfortable.
I
So
agree.
I wanted to use that as a shameless plug, of course, for the griot party. Support the griot party next time we do it, Santa, an
Yeah.
experience, but also to segue into our plan of action. And I'll start off because, you know, I want the plan of action is also your homework, is find something that is hurting you and create at least 3 steps to heal. It has to come in
Okay.
the whole binary thing, the
Mhm.
the dichotomous logic. It's just not working for Black folks. It just
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
Either you're male or female, it's not working. Either it's hot or cold. That's just
Right.
not working for us.
Right.
The things come for us in threes: fight, flight, freeze, proton, neutron, electron, knowledge,
Mhm.
wisdom, understanding, man, woman, child, sun, moon, earth. I can keep going on and on and on.
Right.
So find something that is hurting you and 3 steps to heal. Now you can say, well, I don't know what's hurting me, and I don't trust myself because, what you can do? I bet you if you were in a trusted circle, you can find someone to tell you what you need to work on.
Mhm.
And you've probably been avoiding those people
Yeah.
because you don't want to do the work.
Right.
I would say go out of your way to say, hey, look, man, take the gloves off. Say it in a respectful way, though. What I need to work on. Yeah, you be acting a little funny when you be drinking, man. You be too much money at the da, or you know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
feel like you watch too much TV. You on your phone, and before your first homework is just write it down. Don't get offended. Just take it
Mhm.
and then find, at least one of those things, and
Mhm.
then find 3 things you're gonna do to heal from that hurt. Because just because it's not a problem to you
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's not a problem to someone else. And if you really love and you care for someone in your life, and you don't want to lose them, or you don't want to hinder or distract the relationship, you should take in consideration of how what's, what I'm saying,
Mhm.
quote unquote, healthy or pleasurable for you could be hurting someone else.
Mhm. I
So
agree.
that's my plan of action. And that's my homework.
Okay. Okay.
What you would think? What's your plan of action? What's your homework? I
Plan
know.
of action. Yeah. No. Totally. I would say, because I always like to kind of think about your mind, like you're a gardener of your mind. You know how weeds grow. You want to pull those things out. So using introspection, like, or the metacognition, you can use it in that way too. Start thinking about the things that you feel are hindering you. Maybe you have some behaviors that you know that you need to work on, and it's something to reflect on. Like, okay, why is it that why is it that I'm doing this, or why is it that I behave this way, and start to think about those. You can journal it. Journaling is a great way. You can do self-reflection. I used to, when I was teaching, I was doing self-reflection every day because I want to make sure that what I'm putting out there is always the best part of me and that I'm giving the best, but using self-reflection, maybe you have a tiff at work or something like that, and you need to think about maybe ways that you could have made it better for yourself, or made it better, made the situation better, what you could do going forward. So just using as many of those tools as possible to kind of reflect and deal with those issues. Or maybe you're having some inner issues where you have lack of self-confidence or self-esteem. So using things like affirmation. And I know affirmation kind of seems foreign to people, because if you start saying something like, I'm a millionaire, I'm just using something random, but I'm a millionaire, and you're not really a millionaire, then people say, well, what's the point of saying that? And it's about training your mind. You're training your mind with any type of positive thing that you have around you. You can just have a positive, posters around you, anything that's going to remind you to be in a more positive mindset. So those are some of the things that I would say to start trying, and yeah, that's what I can think of right now.
Yeah, that was awesome. You inspired me to put this on the banner. Go ahead and comment and or inbox us something you want to work on, and we'll address it. And if Sister Wilson doesn't come back, I'll address it myself, because she's planted that seed. I would love to expand and basically supplement Seed Talk with, episodes where, saying, you write in, you inbox, give me your scenario, and then we can filter it through, like, clarity coaching or metacognition, or work on some SMART goals. So I put it out there. I shot my shot. The hack is back. There's more than one way to shoot our shot. We need to start shot more than
absolutely.
And we need to shoot our shot for opportunities to be better as individuals, as households, as families, and as communities. So I shot my shot. I would love for you to come back, and we can just, take apart and break down specific scenarios in people's life, because people really need something like really tangible. I think we did a really good job of breaking the ice and giving some putting out some breadcrumbs of some examples that we can work on. But I'm really into teaching via scenarios. That's like my favorite part of like teaching, like coming up with these like really realistic but tough scenarios. Like, what would you do? Or how would you use what we just now taught you to resolve this conflict, or to resolve, what I'm saying, or get the desired outcome from this situation. So I'd love to have you come back,
Sure. Happy to come back. Yeah, happy.
So once again, it's Seed Talk, stuff that make your seeds walk. Go ahead and donate. $ Logic God Man, Venmo at Logic God Man. I'll get Celinda to put in her information in the comment if she so chooses to, and tell them where they can find you. Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can still type in www.celindawilson.com, and it'll take you directly to my website. You can email me at solutions at wellnessforbusinessandcommunity.com, and you can give me a call on my business phone, which is 253-951-9417.
Okay, hold on. 253
951
951
9417.
9417. All right. Make sure you put the number out there. Make sure you contact her if you want some clarity coaching. If you just, in all seriousness, if you want to look at some resources just to do better in life and whatnot. So, man, that's Seed Talk, man. Thank you once again, Celinda, for joining us, and I look forward to next time. And make sure you you like and you share, you subscribe to this, and let this grow, because we planted a seed. So now it's your turn to water it. All right,
sounds good.
We out. Okay.